Okay, here's an example in which we have a sinusoidal function, and they want us to come up with the formula down here for it. All right, so how do we do that? Well, let's go to the notes. So here's the notes I've sent you. So how to go from a graph to an equation, to a formula. So how do we do it? Well, the first step, step one, is to find a box that contains positive or negative sine or cosine. Now, to do that, you've got to be 100% clear. This is the part where people are like a little foggy and it really hurts them. You got to get 100% clear on what a sine or a cosine graph does in his box. What do I mean? Sine starts in the middle, goes high, goes low, back to the middle. Or, that's a positive sign. Negative sign, same thing, starts in the middle, but he goes low first, then high, back to the middle. So the point is that sine always starts in the middle, ends in the middle of the box. Whereas cosines, it's a U up. See, he starts and ends top of the box, top. Or upside down, negative cosine starts and ends on the bottom of the box, not the middle. So that's key. You've got to be really clear on the difference between sine and cosine. They're really the same thing. They're just a shift away from each other. So again, sine starts in the middle, ends in the middle of the box for one cycle. The only difference between positive sign and negative sign is what he does first. Positive sign goes up first, negative sign goes down first, but they both start in the middle, end in the middle, start in the middle, end in the middle, whereas cosine doesn't do any of that middle stuff. He starts high, ends high, he's a U up for the positive, and he's a U down for the negative, starting and ending on the bottom. So, one more time, sine starts and ends in the middle. Either way, positive or negative, just going up first or down first. Cosine starts and ends on the top, a U up or a U down for negative cosine. All right, you got to identify that kind of shape. One cycle, put a box around it, and then step two, write out the general formula whether you have sine or cosine. Let's go back to it. So looking at this example, now I'm going to do this problem two different ways. I make two different videos because they're long. I don't want to make them one video. Two different videos. One way this way, right now, I'm going to follow their instructions. In other words, they're telling me it goes from minus 80 to 20. That'd be right here. That's minus 80 and 20. They're kind of, they're taking my eyeballs and saying, look there. And I can do that. That's okay. I'll do that. You can make a box in that zone. That's fine. And if you do that, what's in that box? Is that a sine or a cosine graph? What is this? Just this. Forget about everything else. Just that right there. Forget about all this stuff. Forget about all this. Just right in that box. Just tunnel vision right in the box. What is that? Is that a sine or is that a cosine? That's a sine because it starts in the middle, ends in the middle, doesn't it? This is middle. This is middle of the box. This is a sine graph. A sine bx plus c plus d, right? Now you might say, okay, I see it, Mr. Chairman, I see that that's what you're saying, it's a sine, but couldn't we just as well have started the box right here and ended the box right here and then just make this our box, just like this? And then that would be a U shape in that box, and that would be cosine. You're totally right. We totally could do that, and that's what I'm going to do on the other video. I'm going to solve this problem twice. I'll solve it the other time and make it a big cosine, and it's the same answer. I mean, the answers look different, but it's describing the same function, and the homework system knows it. It'll give you full credit either way. I tested it out. It works. Whoever wrote the program for the homework system did a beautiful job on it. It's a smart system. It knows if you've got the right answer in a different form. And I will also give you full credit on the exam. I don't care. Make this a cosine, make this a sine, whatever you want. And this is a good example for us to see so clearly that sine and cosine are not totally different. They're just a shift away from each other. Sine and cosine are the same thing. That's why we say they're sinusoidal. We mean they're both really the same thing. That's why it's called sine and cosine, like a co-pilot. It's with him. They're the same thing. They're just a shift away from each other. So this function we're looking at is a sine. It is a cosine. It's either one you want to call it. And it'll be all the same stuff in the formula. The A will be the same. The B will be the same. The D will be the same. The only part that'll be different is the C, which affects the shift. They're shifted different if you want to write it as a sine or write it as a cosine. You'll have a different C value is what it is. So I'm going to go back now. I'm going to follow their instructions where they told my eyeballs to go, and I'm going to just make it a sine graph, because in my box it goes from the middle of my box right here to the middle of my box. So that's a sine if I put it in that kind of a box. Watch the other video if you want me to you want to see me solving it where I put it in a cosine box. Either one, it'll be right. Okay, so let's go forward. So we've got a sine box. That's steps 1 and 2. Find a box and decide if it's sine or cosine. Let's go back now to step 3. Step 3 now, we've got to find the middle of the box. That is your D value. And we've got to find the amplitude, which is how far above and below the middle of the box goes. So we'll do that. So the middle of the box is 0, so D is 0. And how far above and below does this box go? Looks like 3. It goes up 3 and down 3. So A is 3. But careful. A is technically -3. Why -3? How do you know? Because remember that the sine graph goes down first. In our box, it goes down first. See this? Down. It first goes down. So A is -3. Remember, it's all about, for a sine graph, it's all about whether it goes down first or up first. For a cosine graph, it's whether it's a U up, that's a positive cosine, U down, that's a negative cosine. But for sine, if it goes up first, then remember, they go middle to middle, that's positive sine. But if it goes down first, then up, that's a negative sine. Remember all that? So that's in the notes. Let me get rid of it from here. It's all back there in the notes. You've got to really spend time learning what those notes have to say. Let's go back to them. So here again it is. See how a positive sign goes up first and a negative sign goes down first. So we have a negative sign because in our box we're going down first. Okay. We got that. We got the middle of the box, got the amplitude. Now what do? Well, now find the width of the box. That's the period, 2 pi over b. That gives you the width of the box. The period formula is 2 pi over b. Back to it. So there's our sine graph, again, going down first. So it's a negative amplitude. So what is the width of our box? Let's put it right here. So there it is, the width of our box. Let me see, it goes from -8 to +2. That's 10. That's 10 away. You can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? That's 10. The width is 10. Bring that over here. The width is 10. That's the period. The period is the width of the box. And what's the period formula? It's 2 pi over b. It's not just b. It's 2 pi over b. How do we solve that? Put this over 1, diagonal. 2 pi over 1 is 10 times b, so 2 pi is 10b. Bring it down here, 2 pi is 10b. Finish solving for b, divide by 10, boom. b is pi over 5, right? 2 goes into 10 5 times. So b is pi over 5, we got b. So we got b. We've had A is -3, D is 0. All we got left is C. We're almost there. How do we get C? Let's go back, look at the notes. C comes from the horizontal shift. Now, careful. C is not the horizontal shift. The horizontal shift is -C over B formula. How do you get it? Well, you got to look at the right edge or the left edge. It doesn't matter. Why? Because the boxes repeat forever, right? These boxes repeat forever to the right and the left forever. So you could call this the start of a new cycle because that's the start of this box, or you could call the right edge the start because that's the start of the next box. So it doesn't matter. Right edge, left edge, whatever. Either one is the start of a new cycle. And so we want to know, where is the right edge or the left edge been shifted? Is it right on 0 or has it been shifted off 0? That horizontal shift, the starting edge, which is either the right or left, the starting point, has it been shifted off of 0? That's the horizontal shift. And that's not C, but that involves C. It's -C over B. So just like the period formula is not just B, it's 2 pi over B, the horizontal shift is not just C, it's -C over B. So let's go back to it. So what's our horizontal shift? Well, our horizontal shift is right here. right? There it is. Horizontal shift. Now you might think, can't we do the left edge? Yep, you totally could. It'll work the same. The homework system knows it's good. I'll give you credit. Whatever. Right edge, left edge, either one. That's the start. This is the start of another cycle, isn't it? So the starting edge, right edge or left edge, the horizontal shift is +2. It's been shifted to the right. It's not at 0. Our cycle is not starting at 0, right? Right here is the start of another sine cycle, isn't it? Right at 2. It's been horizontally shifted 2. It's the start of another cycle. All right, so then what does that mean? Well, the horizontal shift formula, let me just write it right here. The horizontal shift is negative c over b, and that's positive 2. That's the horizontal shift formula. We know b, plug your b in right there, so we get negative c over b, and b is pi over 5 equals +2. And now we need to solve this. You know how to put this over 1, diagonal, so this and this, these guys multiply, and these guys multiply, right? Negative c and 1. Diagonal, diagonal, so we get negative c times 1 is positive 2 times pi over 5. So I get negative c. Well, I'm going to go to decimals. You can just go, well, I'll just go 2 pi over. I'll just leave the fraction. 2 pi over 5, right? Because it's over 1. 2 pi over 5. And now you got to get rid of that negative 1. So multiply both sides by negative 1. And that cancels to be positive c, or just regular c, is negative 2 pi over 5. So we found c, and we're done. We got everything. C is negative 2 pi over 5. So our formula is, remember, it's a sine, so it's a, which is negative 3. Negative 3 sine bx. What's b? b is pi over 5. Pi over 5 x plus c, but c is negative 2 pi over 5, so it's plus and negative is just minus 2 pi over 5 plus d, and d was just 0, so you don't really need that 0 at the back. You can just get rid of that. So there it is. There is the formula. There's the sine version. Now, if you want to see me write this as a cosine version from here to here, then watch the other video. We can make this same graph a sine or a cosine. It doesn't matter. And the homework system will give you credit, and I'll give you credit on the exam. It's good either way. There it is as a sine.